Hello, friends. We're all here. I am going to say a couple of things to get us started. If folks want to go ahead and mute themselves for the background noise, please, and thank you. Obviously, things are weird this week. I am in a hotel in Palm Springs because I evacuated LA out of an abundance of caution. Me and Tendy are fine. Big thanks to folks who reached out. We're going to try and have a semi-normal show in a bit. But first of all, I wanted to say a couple of things about the fire. And here, let me not implicate anyone else in my nonsense. A couple of things. Shit's really bad in LA right now. There are multiple fires burning, tens of thousands of acres. Over 100,000 people were under evacuation orders as of today. The air quality is going to be shit. The recovery is going to be shit. Thousands of homes are gone. Countless businesses. I'm going to try and keep my composure because there's social media being the wonderful thing that it is, bringing us together, for example, it is also a fucking nightmare in times like this with people pontificating about celebrities who have lost everything as if they're not also human beings, and also working class actors, not the A-list multi-millionaires that you think they are. But they're not the only ones in LA. Wildlife is being impacted, and it's going to take a really long time to recover. There's a lot of misinformation out there. I will cop to the fact that I spread a little bit and posted to correct about the LAPD and the fire budget. The police budget deserves scrutiny, but the LAPD budget was not slashed last year, as I had been told. Climate change is real, and it's fucking this entire planet. Greedy billionaires, not semi-rich celebrities, not multimillionaires, but billionaires are destroying this planet. Climate change is real. I've lived in LA for 2 years, and I will tell you the first two wet seasons that I went through were I'm just going to use these words, wetter than usual. LOL, 12-year-old giggle fit. Let's move on. They were wetter than usual. When I first moved there, it was months of rain almost every day. Last year, we had atmospheric rivers multiple times, but for the last 8 months, we've had less than an inch of rain. So you have 2 seasons of exponential rain and the growth that happens from it. Then you have 8 months of dryness. Then we have these out of unusual wind conditions, 50 to 100-mile gusts, knocking poles down, knocking trees into poles, starting those fires, pushing the embers out. It is incredibly bad. There are no fewer than 10 fires in Southern California right now, 5 of which are incredibly serious. It's just awful. Like I said, thousands of people have lost their homes. You all may have seen online from Star Trek, Denise Crosby lost her home. Others in the franchise and countless others, obviously, have lost homes or are in evacuation zones and potentially going to lose their homes. And while I am now safe, my area in LA is likely to be safe. The air quality is going to be bad for a while, and the horrific conditions of the area are going to be bad. And, we are not a politics or an environment podcast, but I am obviously going to be a little political for a second. I will say the tiniest of silver linings right now is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are still in office. because they have been working hand in hand with the governor's office, state resources, and local resources, while the soon-to-be president is clearly just watching Fox News and retruthing on his nightmare website as if it could be worse than X, but it is. All kinds of misinformation and nonsense. So please help us in LA by taking a deep breath, think about what you post, and ask yourself who benefits from this, and is it going to help people in LA? Because if it doesn't, just don't do it. I could say plenty more. I am not a Mayor Bass apologist or televangelist, but I will say people are posting misinformation about our mayor, who happens to be a Black woman, that it is just blatantly not true. She did not leave during the fires. She was on a pre-planned trip when the fires struck out, and she came back immediately. You may see a viral clip of her in a jetway ignoring questions from a troll, and it seems really bad. It seems like she's like ignoring the fire department's needs, etc. Even Zachary Quinto reposted it, demanding that she resign, as if the mayor of this massive city resigning right now would do anything. I'm getting too far into rant territory. Don't post misinformation. Ask yourself who's going to benefit from something you're posting. Ask yourself if it's going to help anybody in these affected areas. And if not, don't do it. My rant aside, you may have noticed with the full group that Trevor is not with us tonight. He has a family obligation, but did ask me to say, in light of the California wildfires in Southern California that have damaged so much and impacted so many, we aren't going to light our candle tonight. Instead, we set an intention with kindness and caring for those affected. May the light of kindness be our guide. Trevor is always more rational than me, clearly. I am going to put in the show notes some places that people can donate money, volunteer if you are in the area to help with people, animals, shelter, etc. End of rant. We're going to try and have a normal salon now. And in order to do that, I'm going to beam my crew back in. Hello again, everyone. How's y'all doing? Benji, how are you?
Oh, just great after that, Stanley. Thank you so much.
I light up a room. Ken, how are you?
I am doing okay. Stanley, I thought that your words were amazing. I don't think that was so much a rant as a plea from Los Angelino that everyone needs to hear. And so I appreciate that. As people who know me know that I do work with celebrities, and celebrities are people first and foremost. People need to remember that. So I just want to tag that too. But thank you for your words, Stanley.
Thank you. Will, how are you?
I'm fine. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm glad you're safe. I'm sorry for LA, but it'll be nice to talk about something different.
Yeah. Light and breezy.
Yeah.
Krista, how are you? You're on mute, dear.
You're mute.
But I love the candle.
Well, I didn't know Trevor wasn't going to be here. And I had inspections on my house today, so I lit candles.
There's no order. There's no odor. The candles are just for vibes. There's no rotting flesh to cover up.
Burning all day. No, and it also is not going to make me orgasmic. So I was just the way candles don't work in our. Just go to Joanne.
Beverly would be disappointed. But not in Joanne. Joanne, how are you, dear?
I am great. We're preparing for Snowmageddon here in the South.
Yes, that's tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow Nashville's about to get 6 inches. So
Uh,
6 inches and
so
Joanne is disappointed.
Mhm.
It's like, I ain't even gonna feel that.
get out, go home. No, I'm not making you a sandwich. So yeah.
that
You
gets-
thirsty bitch.
In the arms of the angel.
It's a little too real with the Wildfires
Dismiss.
right now. But tonight we are talking about the Prime D. That's right, the Prime Directive, also known as General Order 1, or General Order Whoops, as this episode is titled. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about various episodes in which the Prime Directive plays a prominent role. And then, just for kicks, we may make some edits to the Prime Directive. That, of course, will be binding and written into Strange New World Season 3. So, with that, let's get into our. I'm gonna call it a. You know what? We need a palate cleanser. We need a moment, and then we're gonna talk about the Prime D.
This week sucks. But look at Starfleet fuck up some Borg.
You know what? I made that right after the election. I didn't think it would be evergreen, but I should have. Should have known. Okay.
Yes, you should have.
Who wants to start with their favorite Prime Directive episode? Should we go in order? Krista raised her hand first, and we love a raised hand. Krista, go for it.
I'm afraid to go first, but I think my favorite is In the Pale Moonlight. It takes the Prime Directive concept and in true DS9 fashion does not pull any punches. It shows all the hypocrisy of it. It shows all the machinations. It shows the fact that medical officers, their Hippocratic oath is in direct conflict with the Prime Directive. It shows that we, as rationalizing beings, can willingly sort of use people that will do the thing that we will not do, and consider that cool. It explores it in sort of a very blunt and stark and realistic way. And I haven't seen any of the Voyagers, but it's my understanding that Voyager kind of has according to the list, has the longest list of Prime Directive centrics. But I think that In the Pale Moonlight addresses what I call the kind of the Eichmann clause, the idea of following an order, even though it may be morally contrary or ethically contrary to your own feelings or your own knowledge or your own intellectual abilities. And, who does that make you if you follow it, or if you just stand up and say, yeah, this isn't going to work? And specific to that episode, how does Starfleet's Prime Directive, how is it that if Cisco can see how this is going to be problematic in the future, this Dominion thing, and we need to bring the Romulans in, and we've got to do this by hook and crook, and we're going to have to do a major deception, but ultimately it's for the greater good, while Bashir is saying, hey, this biological gel that you're wanting to do, this could this could kill a lot of people. By what right is one subjugated beneath another? Which makes one right and one wrong? And I like the complexity of it.
Does anybody want to take the opposite view and say that In the Pale Moonlight is a bad episode? In what universe?
Sorry.
Garrick did nothing wrong. Just kidding. Also, fun fact, Will knows the guest actor that was in that episode. Isn't that right, Will?
I sure do. I sure do. The one of my theater collaborator and someone I consider a friend and a former director. His name is Howard Shangra. He played the guy that what's his name? It starts with a T. Anyway, he plays the blue guy that gets bumped. So
the one who helped create the fake message.
Yeah, that creates the fake message.
The one that
so
make the what do we call the girls? The Boja girls, the
Dabo girls.
The Dabo
What?
girls.
The
Dabo girls.
Tried to make the Dabo program for Cisco.
Dabo.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't know the guy who
yeah.
says it's a fake. You know the guy who created the fake. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's a lovely man, and I've tried to get him to come on the pod, but he's busy, unfortunately.
It's like that was 30 years ago, and I was on screen for 5 seconds.
No, he talked about it. He was like, "Oh, funny," because I texted him, I was like, "Oh, we were talking about this," and he goes, "Oh, fun, had a good time," and I was like, "Okay." And he's a very professional actor. Like, he would have gone in and been like, "Yeah, I put on a bunch of blue makeup and was shot for 2 days and then went home." Like, he probably doesn't think anything of it, but.
All right, who else has a favorite Prime Directive episode? I saw Ken's hand. Are we going to get our first tosser alert of the episode?
2 of them.
Well,
I'm gonna give 2
actually,
Yes. Oh, that's you saying, well, 2, and they both begin with a piece of the action to lighten things up a bit, and one that is very different, A Private Little War. And A Private Little War is an amazing episode. It's one that is one that's referenced a lot as a reference to the Vietnam War, where the Klingons show up and they provide flintlocks to this planet that Kirk is very familiar with, and Kirk is forced to match the Klingons step by step with the firearms and with the weapons that they give. And it's a very powerful episode. Lots of things happen. Spock gets shot, Kirk gets bitten, Kirk falls in love with a witch woman, but overall there is just a really powerful Prime Directive story there about, when is the Prime Directive to be used, and can the Prime Directive be used in one-upsmanship to the point where you provide, as the last line of the episode said, serpents for the Garden of Eden. And so that was I think, to me, one of the most powerful Prime Directive episodes. But then the other one I mentioned, A Piece of the Action, everyone's super familiar with that one, where no cracks about the book, and the Chicago mobs of the 90s, how it takes an entire
Is that the one that
civilization.
Quentin Tarantino is obsessed with for some reason?
Yes, it's the one. In theory, it would have been Quentin Tarantino's script would have been a play off of Piece of the Action. It's the one with it's the Sopranos episode of Star Trek, the funny Sopranos episode of Star Trek, and it's very, very tongue in cheek in places, but also it's really important about how they arrive and they have to undo the contamination, or try to undo the contamination, find out what the contamination is from the Starship Horizon that landed on that planet, and they find out that it was this book about Chicago mobs, and this very, very imitative culture suddenly is all like the Chicago mob. And the tagline for that episode is, McCoy accidentally leaves his communicator there, and Kirk says, in some years from now, the Iosians are going to demand a piece of our action, which, as a side note, was a thought to potentially be what they were going to do in Deep Space Nine, when they ultimately did trials and tribulations, they were thinking about going back to Sigma Iosha 2 to see what happened there. Those are my 2 Prime Directive episodes.
Love it. And you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to be hypocritical and say, gross, I don't want that movie. Because here's the thing. I want more Star Trek. So if Quentin Tarantino gets to do that, I will be seated. It's not something I would look forward to. It's not something that would be for me. But I would watch it because we're going to watch the Trek we get in the meantime so that we get more Trek. And who knows? I could be surprised. Who wants to go next? Who has a favorite Prime Directive episode? Who wants to volunteer before I just pick somebody? Will, thank you so much.
I'll go. The ones that come to mind, I mean, like, Who Watches the Watchers is obviously like really good. And I find myself drawn to the episodes that like the crew disobeys the Prime Directive because it's the right thing to do. So like Who Watches the Watchers, Pen Pals, I like a lot because it shows it. I like how Data like is the one that is saying like this is the right thing to do. We should save her, and eventually like they are able to do the right thing. And then a recent one from Strange New Worlds, the something of the Lotus Eaters. What is it called? I wrote it down.
The one about Alzheimer's, sort of.
Yeah, with the people with the asteroid with the radiation, and it was ruining their development. So he decides to remove so Pike has the asteroid removed because he, what was it called? Among the Lotus Eaters, right? So that was one that I was like, oh, this was a good Prime Directive one. So anytime that the crew like goes, this is the right thing to do, even though they probably would all get court-martialed for doing it, I don't think that Starfleet and the Federation like looks kindly upon their military representatives disobeying the number one rule. But I find
the literal first rule.
Yeah, the literal first rule. So I find that those episodes really are the ones that I enjoy more because it says that you can't let rules get in the way of you doing the right thing, and that sometimes you have to break rules in order to I guess just to ethically do the right thing, and that not all rules are unbendable. That you can break a rule and it's not the end of the world. Yeah, they're not absolutes because I think it's contextual. So those are my kind of options. But yeah, I think I like watching Pen Pals because I think it's cute. And that little actress that girl's makeup is so fucking weird. And her like burned down weird house. It's great. It's a great episode. But those are the things that stick out to me. That girl's fucking makeup was bad. But like I don't know. I love that episode. It's very good.
I hate her. Ugh, I hate her.
I also hate her, and
tell
I
it
think
like
she
it
should
is,
be burned with
Joey.
fire. They should not have saved her.
I know.
Let's be careful there with our fire rhetoric this week.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. Oh, you all are not talking about LA, we know. But the internet is a place that's going to see this. Joanne, dear, did you want to share?
I do. So I also love Who Watches the Watchers, and the one from Disco, Whistle Speak. Clearly, I love the ones where they become gods, right, and objects of worship, and touch on those sorts of things, or they're so magic. I love those and all of the questions that they raise. But yeah, I think Pen Pals is terrible. I can't stand that little girl. Like, Data should have been in a lot of trouble. They should have turned him off for a little bit, put him in timeout. I don't like it. And I like In the Pale Moonlight too. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that one, right?
Look at the chat.
Because it's like, well, I know but it's like Starfleet sanctioned violation. Like Cisco got the okay. So I'm like, does that count? I don't know. But still a good episode.
But that's what I'm saying about the Prime Directive is kind of arbitrary. It seems to be captain's discretion.
Speaking of captain's discretion, I am interrupting for a very important transporter effort here. I don't have a sound for it, but beaming in my bitchy buddy, my petty pal, in the spot he loves, no less. Trevor, thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here. How are you
What
and
up, bitches?
yours?
Good. Thank you. And sorry, I didn't think I was going to be able to make it. Was waiting on some information that came, and everything's good, and I'm here, and yay, let's do this.
Love it.
Yay.
Did you happen to catch the first little bit? I read your statement after going off the rails myself.
Girl, I got notes. It's all good. Let's do this.
Good. Well, Trevor, did you, not to throw you in right away, but
I will say I didn't do my homework.
yeah.
I didn't do my homework.
Trev
Same.
agrees with me. Trev agrees with me. No.
That we're
same.
what, death to Sarjenka? Like, that's fine. That's fine. She's annoying.
Let that little girl die.
But she didn't.
Wow.
But she didn't trust Pulaski, and that makes me trust her.
Mm.
She was weird.
There's something like Pulaski was like, "Hey, don't worry, it's no big deal. I'm just going to erase your memory," and also didn't tell her she was about to erase her memory. So, yeah, that was creepy, and she straight up had like Stranger Danger vibes, and I respect her for that. But she was annoying as fuck, and it's fine, whatever. But do I have a favorite? I don't have a favorite Prime Directive episode. I love all Prime Directive episodes because I love all of the contradictions of the Prime Directive episodes.
Mm.
And
diplomatic as always.
Well, my theory, and I've said it before on the show, so I won't bore you guys with all the details. But like, if the Prime Directive exists, it's not 3 sentences on the top of a list of general orders. It's like a 5,000 page document that explains if this, then that, except for this, and also that, and sometimes this, but maybe that instead, and also captain's discretion.
Yeah.
Like,
I also did not do my homework for obvious reasons this week. We have no visuals this week as I intended, because something that I was going to put on the screen was apparently they did in Star Trek Prodigy, there was a screen that had General Order 1. So the Prodigy writers wrote what they decided it was, except it's on a screen. It's kind of janky, so it may or may not be considered. That's an interesting canon question. It's like, it's on screen. I think Yerk could make it out, and like on Memory Alpha, it's written out, but I would agree just below that, it would also be like, see the 17 addendums. That fucking girl. How?
You go, Will.
Listen, child actors, they're all terrible. Most of them.
I just immediately assumed she was holding a drink. That'll tell you where my mind is.
Yeah, it does look like it. That's why I did it. It looked like she's doing a cheers. But yeah,
If you love her so much, AI her on your face.
Yeah.
Oh, I should.
Trevor,
I'll
I
go to
am following
SCLV.
your instructions to drink
like
on the
Ron
salon,
Howard's
even though I normally
brother.
don't.
Appreciate it.
She does.
It does. It does look like
It
like
looks
Clint
like
Howard a
Ron
little
Howard's
bit.
brother. From
Actually, Will, when you lean forward a little bit like that, her
Ron's
hair
sister.
looks like it's part of you.
Oh, hold on.
There you go.
No, a little forward, a little
Yeah,
more.
here we go,
There
here
you go. There you go.
Bam.
Oh my
What were
God,
they
it's Tina
thinking with
Turner.
That wig. Oh my God.
my line.
Rolling.
Did I
Rolling.
do? Hold on.
You got it.
I did it.
You look like a Wookiee.
Yep.
I don't know.
A Wookiee. A Will
Like
Wookiee.
you're wearing a Sears and Roebuck like winter coat.
Oh,
Yeah, it does look like
Canada
a
Goose.
fur-lined
With a
coat.
big fur.
Yeah, it does.
Can you stand up a little
Yeah.
bit? Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, no,
I came for the
It's a hood.
philosophical conversation. I stayed for the game of props with Will.
There you go.
It's
My prop
sweet. Is
comedy
she
routine.
holding a
Thank you, everyone.
Zippo? It's like she's holding a Zippo. What is she holding? And her hand
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, she's trying to light a blunt for Benji.
It's a prop. it's a prop hand. It's too big. It's like the flute hands.
Speaking of blunt Benji, do you want to share your favorite Prime Directive episodes?
Sure. Well, everybody's said all of them already. But I do like my favorite episode of Prodigy is All the World's a Stage, which I know is like a lot like Piece of the Action, and is sort of like basically very much like what they wanted to do with Piece of the Action, which was, you know, revisit that planet, but for some reason it's not that planet, it's a different planet. And so like we see the result of what happens when, you know, Starfleet contaminates a society. And I'm just like fascinated by the fact that like our whole culture already is basically just purple monkey dishwashered. Like it just gets passed down generation after generation, names and places get all mucked up. And then somebody visits, you know, 100 years later, and this is what it looks like. So I find that kind of concept fascinating, and I think it's a lesson that we should all be thinking about, given where we find ourselves today. Enough said.
Love it. Like I said, I did not do my homework this week. But looking at this helpful list that I found on Reddit, I also do love like all of these ones that are listed on for TNG. I'll read through it really quick. These are like episodes that the Prime Directive is prominent in the episode. So Encounter at Farpoint, Justice, Data Lore, Angel One, Too Short a Season, Coming of Age, Symbiosis, Deja Q, Pen Pals, The Masterpiece Society, Who Watches the Watchers, First Contact, which is my favorite and I'll talk about in a moment, The Price, Reunion, Half a Life, Redemption, Parts 1 and 2, and Homeward. And I'm sure everybody knows all of the details of all of those episodes, so I won't get into it. But I will talk about First Contact, not only because Trevor has his favorite headcanon burst from that episode, well, that and lessons that, oh my God, I can't remember her name. I know it's Carolyn Seymour, but
BB
Marasta Yale. Marasta Yale and Lieutenant Darren are in a loving relationship, according to Trevor, and I love that for them. But I love First Contact because we see a First Contact situation gone awry. We also get a quintessential Trek thing where people are thrown into missions that it makes no fucking sense that the first officer of the Federation flagship would randomly have this First Contact mission. Like they are going to have specialists in the future. Dear God, I hope, unless this next Trump presidency is the domino effect to shit that doesn't make sense. But I love it. And we also get I had so many visuals in mind. This is the worst part about the fire, is that now we don't have visuals for the Salon. Everything else we could handle, but this, I deal with stress with humor. I am completely joking. It's devastating. Don't come for me.
It's a step too far.
But it does remind. See, you got me drinking, and now I'm just even more chaotic. Hyperbole is a fun thing. You know, there's nothing worse than hyperbole, except maybe racism. So the thing about First Contact is it also is part of the birth of one of my favorite Trek memes, that the show Frasier is just a holodeck program, and then they show Frasier as Morgan Batesman, and from First Contact, BB Newirth as the nurse on that planet that says that she will help Will Riker if he fucks her. And then he fucks her. It did not click for me as a child, but rewatching it over the last couple of years, she walks out putting on her glasses like, he does it. He gives that lady everything she needs. I love it.
What if he made up something and said that this is how humans do it.
This isn't Babylon 5.
Maybe he just licked his finger and stuck it in her ear.
And was like, you can't.
Riker put his dick in
shouldn't-
whatever hole she's got. He put it in both. He was like,
What if
I'm
she doesn't
doing
have
it.
one?
You
All
know,
6 of
Riker
them.
went whatever squid pussy she got. He went down there. You know,
This
he
is
did.
the guy who the Naked Now virus had 0 effect on. He fucked
He
her.
like woke up and was like, "Hey, I'm good."
Yeah.
It's like how Mirror Garrick was just Garrick. In like horny Will Riker is just Will Riker. Like there's no like no change has occurred in his personality. I actually think that in their species, the women have the penises, and I'm pretty sure she banged Riker.
Yes.
Hey, you know
They
what?
did.
And he was into it. The future is Pan. I love that episode. I think Carolyn Seymour is a wonderful actress. I loved her in Babylon 5. I loved her as both Romulans in TNG, as Marasta Yale, even as the governess in that stupid Voyager episode. She's incredible. And Star Trek has always been really good about paralleling the real world. Like, what would it be like if hopefully Joe Biden in the next 2 weeks, but God forbid 3 weeks from now, Donald Trump, a Captain Picard figure beams down and is like, hey, we need your God. Oh my God.
Stanley, focus.
Someone else say something. Someone else say something.
There are
Who
other
else?
countries that they can
Let's
visit.
Let's make this a Trump-free zone.
Thank you.
Like, let's just not.
Thank you for checking me, both Krista and Benji. Yes, other places exist. They would beam down
They can come
to
talk to us.
Canada or China
As long
or
as it's
Ghana
before
or
within the next few
Australia even.
Not China.
Not
Okay.
Australia.
and
New
not
Zealand?
here- not here
No.
after the spring.
Where should they go? Go.
Denmark.
Rabbit holes. For fuck's sake, pull
yes.
yourself out.
Who has a Prime Directive episode they hate?
All the
Go for
Enterprise ones.
Ooh, I don't. We'll get into it, but Krista.
Oh, symbiosis. Just is that the name of the episode? The one where the one society
Drugs.
basically cannibalizes another society? Yeah. Symbiosis. I do not like that episode because I do not think they made the right choice. I think they know they didn't make the right choice. And I think that they hid behind, I think the show hadn't advanced to the level that maybe DS9 did. And so they didn't want to address it straight on. But I think they made it pretty clear that it was not the right decision, even though it was supposed to be a happy ending. But
Beverly knew.
well, she did, but and also if in Who Watches the Watchers, she didn't hesitate to throw herself out a window and go save somebody, even though it became seriously problematic. And again, that takes me back to what I originally said: is that the Prime Directive is in conflict with the first rule of medicine: first, do no harm. It consistently is in conflict.
Because Beverly is often at the center of these Prime Directive violations, like the catalyst, I don't know any other words, the thingamabob. Like, yeah, she's the reason for a lot of the morally ambiguous decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, some primitive alien always ends up in her sick bay, and they're like either trying to keep them in a coma, hello Lily Sloan, or erase their memory or something like that. So it often ends up in like playing out in a biobed, and that's
Or
what comes
in
to it.
Riker.
or in
As
or
all the
inside
best
Riker.
stories do.
For you and
Potato,
Riker's
potato. Riker's nickname in college was Biobed. I am going to, and I feel like this is like worthy of some sort of new designation on the scorecard. I'm going to disagree with Krista. It almost never happened.
That is not. I'm going
It
to go
doesn't-
ahead and shut down my camera.
It's, well,
Absolutely
and
not. I am out of here.
it only happens once a year, and I'm getting it out of the way now so that the rest of the year is just smooth sailing. And really, I'm only partially disagreeing, so I'm going to qualify with that. But
Trevor
for
doesn't
me,
like drug addicts. Deal with it.
well, I mean, people make choices. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. No, the thing that bugs me about symbiosis is not the decision to not radically alter the society the way that they found it. The problem is that they're like, oh, and also we can't fix your freighter even though we just saved you because fixing your freighter would get us involved. Well, bitch, why did you answer the distress signal? Like, like I get it, you're already involved, which is, narratively what helps create the conundrum in the first place. But it's like that wasn't enough of a slippery slope. But obviously Wesley shouldn't be put to death for like stepping on some flowers. But like, we're okay violating the Prime Directive with no questions whatsoever. But now, like, we're looking death in the face for people that aren't related to the lady that we want to bang. And we're like, sorry, can't help you. Also, and like, why was he going to give them the coils in the first place? Like, hey, not only were we going to give them to you and then we're going to take them away, we're actually going to take you to the room where they're stored to show them to you and then be like, sorry, bitches, you can't have the coils. So enjoy your drug addiction. Like, it just felt like I don't disagree, because I don't disagree in theory with the idea that technology can allow you to play God and you shouldn't. Like, that's generally a good rule. But so often they get into these situations where it's like, okay, you've written yourself into a corner and sometimes you make an exception and sometimes you don't. And it actually doesn't work with many of the character. Like, it felt like Picard wouldn't have made that call, even though it was technically the wrong call, but it was really it was just a convoluted outcome. I don't necessarily disagree that you shouldn't disrupt an entire society, but like, don't do it. Like, you either do it or don't. Like, the halfway nonsense of symbiosis drives me nuts. So for that, we're in alignment.
It's
like,
the Eichmann. It's the Eichmann clause. Do you follow the rule, or do you follow the order, or do you do what you know inherently is right, which is not necessarily conducive to the order?
There's often letter of the law, spirit of the law, and in that particular episode, they fuck up both.
Yeah.
This gives me the opportunity to plug some potential future Salon merch. Send a no birth. Like, why did they just give up on them entirely? Send a no birth. Second contact.
It is kind of weird that like they encounter this situation and then they're just like, well, we better not ever come back again until 15 years later. Like, that is super weird.
But
until
also,
they get into
like,
super fitness because of drugs.
But
which is no. This is why you say no to drugs, kids, because if you get into drugs, you're going to go down the fitness pipeline.
But how is it helpful in Who Watches the Watchers to bring the person not aware of warp drive up to a starship so they could misconstrue Picard as a guy? Like, these are things that don't make sense to me. If you don't want to negatively influence or in any way influence a society beyond what they're capable of grasping at that moment and let them naturally evolve into what they need to evolve, then you don't take the girl with the fucked up haircut and boom her onto the ship so that she can see stars. Like, that doesn't make any how is that not a violation of the Prime directive. And then you're going to solve it by going back down there and saying, I'm not a god, but I just did kind of a godlike thing as far as you're able to perceive. So just shoot me with an arrow. It's just fuck off. Just
I can fix it.
This Krista Hates Picard segment is brought to you by the Picard.
I don't hate Picard. I don't hate Picard, but that it made no fucking sense. Also, don't call him the Picard, you infants.
The entire episode, it would have been over in like, I don't know, 25 minutes, but like it would have been far less disruptive to that society. Like instead of beaming someone up to the ship, teaching them, oh, by the way, we're just like you and we traveled across the stars and this is a spaceship. It would have been far less disruptive to just lock on to Troy and the guy wrapped who's like in bondage that they're holding hostage, to just beam them up and never say anything.
Thank you.
You'd have 3 or 4 villagers who were like, they disappeared. And everybody would be like, fuck off, we don't believe you. And we'd move on.
This is something that I always think. Yeah, I always think about this with, like, I get that the rule matters, but the idea that seeing something like that, like, I'm just thinking about the real world. Like, I swear to God, I'm not going to go down too far of a tangent, but there are people who legitimately see video of January 6th and just see patriotic people who legitimately thought something was stolen from them and were doing the right thing to try and stop it. In a world where that can also be considered truth, transposing that to some of these episodes where like 3 villagers see a thing, it's not going to impact the whole fucking planet. The Orville episode where Kelly is considered a god, great episode. I love Kelly, but a whole religion impacting the entire planet around her because of one moment of nonsense, like it's just not going to happen. I just don't see it happening. That's not to say the Prime Directive is completely stupid and don't worry about being careful, but yeah, beam them up. Let 3 people be like, they disappeared. Like, who gives a fuck? Rational thoughts with Stan. Cheers. Who else has a Prime Directive episode that they want to rip apart? Or question. Benji, you said you had some thoughts about Enterprise.
Enterprise. Actually, I think the Enterprise one speaks for themselves. I just want to draw attention to the fact that, you know, like, so in like First Contact, the episode First Contact, where they go down to do surface reconnaissance because they think that's going to like reduce the amount of conflict that they have with the species when they get warp drive. And also every single time they've ever installed a duck blind, you know, it's like what they say sometimes with nuclear weapons. Like, it's like we're less likely to fire them at each other. It's more likely that if something happens, it's going to be because somebody made a mistake. And in this case too, I think it's just like the propensity for a fuck up, and they fuck it up every single time. They've fucked it up so many times that it's far worse than just meeting them in space later on. Like, keep an eye on them from a distance and just leave it at that, because you're going to fuck it up less if you just do it that way instead of going down there and it leading to potential problems. And they just need, it's like you said, then with Who Watches the Watchers, they just need like a get the fuck out clause, because then once they fuck it up, they keep fucking it up because they try to fix it. Also, like with Homeward, trying to make stuff up around like seeing the holodeck grid in the background. It's fuck up on top of fuck up on top of fuck up, and they just dig themselves deeper and deeper and deeper and never get out of the hole.
I agree with whoever put it in the chat. Worf did look great in that makeup.
That was cool.
Yeah, Joanne was right.
He
As
was
always.
very hot in that makeup. Yes, he was very hot. I was like, who
Worf
is
sucks,
this?
but Worf sucks, but Michael Dorn can get it.
100%.
1000%.
Push all the buttons.
With the bat left too.
Mm. That's what I call it.
Problematic gay alert. You thirsty bitch.
In the
It
So
took
when
a
we get
second.
tea ceremony. We have a tea ceremony.
There's very much oh, I love that tea ceremony thing. Like him and Pulaski should have hooked up.
You
But
thirsty bitch.
In the eye.
there's very much a all's fair in love and war kind of clause to the Prime Directive, right? Like my crew's involved, the people I love, my girlfriend's son, Riker's hurt, or it's war, Cisco, and we can't lose to these Dominion people. So there's always that sort of aspect that comes up when it's like, oh, it doesn't matter because people I care about are involved or we're at war. Which I think is also the same sentiment that fuels, why people can see shit um live and in living color and think, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Because, it's how they define, who they love, what's important, what's, what are we at war at? What are we battling? So in that sense, it's very kind of I think consistent with human nature and just kind of how we all believe in things and we all align ourselves with things and and make these decisions that we think are morally virtuous, but on the other side looking in, it's morally vicious. So that's why I love these episodes.
I don't care what anybody says. Dear Doctor was a perfect episode of Star Trek Enterprise. It was a good one.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, you haven't seen
I haven't
Enterprise? That's
seen
right.
I haven't seen
Ooh.
Enterprise either. Well, I saw maybe half of the first season. I don't know.
It actually is a pretty good episode. Like I did a rewatch recently, and it's kind of a Data's Day format, but it's around Dr. Phlox and helping this species. I don't know. I kind of agree with the decision, just because like the dominant species on that planet were a bunch of elite assholes, and I kind of don't mind the Mank taking over.
I think that somewhat the fact that there is a Prime Directive sort of suggests that human nature requires a structural boundary. Like,
Well, get excited, Krista, because that's exactly what they talk about in Star Trek Enterprise.
Is that what it is? Because
kind of, because there is no Prime Directive in the prequel, and so I think in one of the earlier episodes, Archer's like, we're gonna have to come up with some rules for this shit and until some sort of directive for what to do in these situations. But until then, I'm gonna figure shit out as I go. Human nature.
It sort of suggests that left to our own devices, we're too chaotic. As a race, we're too chaotic. We would be doing too many things, or we would be doing bad things, because presumably the Prime Directive is to protect those that haven't advanced as far as we have, and that's an easy situation to exploit. So it's like it's sort of a commentary on even the elite of the elite, the Starfleet hierarchy still requires this thing to be drilled into them, because absent that, how seductive would it be to be treated as a god? Because you would have godlike, not in your everyday, but encountering a lesser form of existence, you would be godlike, easily exploited.
That's what one of the TOS episodes was about, wasn't it? There was that former guy that Kirk knew. Ken, help me out.
Oh, Where No Man Has Gone Before, where Gary Mitchell becomes a god. The pilot. That wasn't really a Prime Directive episode per se.
I think he's thinking of Garth.
Garth the Visor, where he thinks he's a god.
Wayne and Garth?
Yeah. Like who?
Party on, Krista.
Yeah.
Party on. Party on, Garth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Party time,
Party
excellent.
Party on.
Party time, excellent.
Let's make them our ambassadors.
And now for the visual, Stan didn't prepare.
Yeah.
I've been a little busy.
That episode's called Whom Gods Destroy, and I don't think it's a Prime Directive episode. I wouldn't think of it as a Prime Directive episode. But thinking of Enterprise, though, the Vulcans were prime directing the humans for a lot of Enterprise, and it was pissing, the humans off, pissing Starfleet off, pissing Archer off. And to Paul, a lot was saying, "Well, we can't tell you because you're not advanced enough," and so it was, I think, turning on the tables to some extent.
Enterprise spoiler alert. Was it just the Vulcan?
Was it just the Vulcans? Not going to
In-
say.
Season 4, there were shenanigans. Just saying.
Yeah, no, there were shenanigans, of course. Yeah, so there was shenanigans there. There also was sort of a reverse Prime Directive episode in which also was referenced in season 4 of Enterprise, which was Errand of Mercy, where for all intents and purposes, the Organians were trying to hold up their own Prime Directive and then of course they decide that they're going to just violate their Prime Directive, and then just stop the Klingons and the Federation from fighting. But up until that point, they were trying to keep their own identities very quiet, and that they were just goat herding very primitive people until they couldn't be anymore, and they had to save the Federation and the Klingons from this massive war. So that's an interesting and reverse Prime Directive episode too.
And speaking of reversing the Prime Directive, that is a lovely segue into concluding this episode of the Salon with rewriting the Prime Directive. We've talked about our favorite episodes, some of our least favorite episodes. We've talked about how the Prime Directive has done some good, has potentially done some bad. So as we understand the Prime Directive from canon that we've seen, what changes would you all make to the Prime Directive? Does anybody have thoughts? Trevor?
No, I just want to make sure I understand the assignment. So what you're asking us to do is to put our thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
Yes. I can't rap, obviously.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hon.
Wrong song, Krista, but I love the effort.
I love that she knows that.
That's from the RuPaul.
And the
way
RuPaul rewrite.
The way you looked over to Joanne.
The RuPaul rewrite of the Prime Directive should be, just don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
You better work, bitch.
Joanne, do you have some thoughts on the Prime Directive?
I just said
changing it. Fair.
Two queens stand before me.
Two primitive queens.
This is your last chance to impress.
In the Prime Directive challenge, yeah.
Warp drive for your life.
Good luck. Don't fuck it up. That's it. But no, it doesn't bother me, right? It doesn't. I don't know. Maybe I have a God
let
complex.
Them die.
Yeah.
Joanne said, let them die.
Let them die. Let them eat cake. Let them lip sync for their lives. I mean, all's fear and love and war.
Wow.
But can they travel faster than light? Well, then let them die.
That's like if Sun Tzu dressed in drag and showed up on RuPaul.
Will, you were going to say something about the Prime Directive?
Sun Tzu would actually be a really great drag name.
Good drag name.
This is what good
drag name.
A really good drag name. I would just it's like a matter of practice for Prime Direct, like visiting a primitive culture. Don't go down there in makeup and like your duck blind bullshit. Don't fucking do that. By the 23rd and 24th century, they should have sensors and cameras and things that are able to. They would not need to go down there. So
Drones.
Take a note from New York City. Surveillance culture.
Yeah, just don't fucking go down there. Like it's the way they practice it is the reason. Yeah, Sun Tzu. Yeah. Oh. Terrible. Yeah, it just don't. Like I think that the intention behind it is fine. Like the idea that you don't interfere with a primitive species, but like in a way that would change it, alter its course of its natural development. But like also they keep breaking it, so why have it? You know? It's like you keep breaking it. You keep breaking the Prime Directive. Like, who gives a shit? But just don't fucking go down there. Who do you have? Like some fucking cosmetic surgeon that's just like some gay makeup artist on the ship, just like, ooh, honey, we're gonna put this forehead ridge on you. No one will know it's you, mama.
This is what
Clock
I
this,
texted
clock
last
where,
week.
mama.
What?
Let's get you in. Like, yeah,
And
lace
her name is
wear. Like,
Beverly
it's
Crusher.
stupid. Like, it's just like, okay, fine. Like, you know, fucking Beverly's over here beating people's faces. Like, it's just like, okay, putting them up in species drags, which is also offensive. That's like blackface. What are they doing? Like, oh, let's slap this ridge on your forehead and throw you down. Like, crazy anyway. Just the more I think about it, it's like, that's weird, but whatever.
Duck blinds are the 24th century blackface.
Hey man,
Right.
she sleeps
It's
with
weird.
mollusks.
And it's
I don't know what you want.
like, okay, yeah, anyway. But yeah, it just bad. Like, don't go down there because it always ends badly. Or maybe it's just the crew of the Enterprise that they just like, they're like, you can't go down, do this anymore. Your crew keeps fucking stuff up.
No more for you.
Yeah.
Ken, do you have any
No.
thoughts about edits to the Prime Directive?
No. I think that the concept. No, I don't. I think it's perfect. What can I tell you?
Great. Ben, do you have any thoughts about the Prime Directive?
I'm
what
gonna
edit-
I'm gonna contradict myself and defend that like fucked up long pinky orange thing behind Will.
His Canada Goose jacket?
Yeah.
Clint Howard.
If she's the last of her species, why would you save her? Oh, she looks like fucking Mac and me. You look like Mac and me right now, and it's
But the
freaking
thing
me out.
is, if
Wait,
she's
Trevor,
the
do that
last of
again.
her species, isn't Darwinianism? Oh God.
I was looking at Will.
But she wasn't the last. She was just a dumb
that
bitch
natural
who
selection?
didn't leave when she was supposed to.
What do you mean leave where?
She's
Wasn't the whole
too
planet melting
stupid to
down?
exist,
They were like,
is
they were
what I'm
going to
saying.
the, I don't know, they were
Oh,
supposed
they
to
were-
go to the caves or I don't
She-
know, some
She's,
shit.
Yeah.
she straight up ignored a mandatory evacuation order.
Yes.
Too
And-
She's
stupid
just
to
dumb.
exist, like
she had
half the people
dumb
that live in the Ozarks.
She had like dumb MAGA parents who like drilled into her that
You know, she on her fucking ham radio talking about,
Oh,
are you out there?
My head canon is Sarjenka is unvaccinated.
Hello? Dumb
flat
bitch.
out.
we can
Sarjenka
tell.
is
This little girl's
unvaccinated.
anti-vax. This
No,
little girl's
it's-
unvaccinated.
It's true.
She
It's-
voted
it's
for
true,
Robert
'cause
Kennedy.
There was an outbreak of long pinkies on her planet, and she
Yeah.
didn't get the vaccination.
She wasn't invited. They're like, don't bring long fingers with us. Like, don't bring her here.
her,
So they're
her
like,
brain
don't
is
tell her we're back. Just leave her there. She got left
Her-
behind. This is the face
She's
of a
had
person who
so
got left
much
behind.
work. She's a Kardashian.
oh my god.
They wish.
Her brain is as smooth as her forehead.
Oh.
But okay, so anyway, the card
For the record, Trevor had requested that this episode be extra chaotic because he wasn't going to be able to be on. And I got to say, we delivered, and I'm glad that you were here to see it.
I appreciate it.
But Benji, contradict
Are you
yourself.
serious?
Let's yeah, this on a serious note, this unvaccinated child needs help.
She's a hot fucking mess, though. For
Yeah,
real.
our next prime minister is
shit.
in favor of vaccine choice. It's her choice.
It's like the love child of Clint Howard and some four-legged animal.
Oh my
I
God.
think
Also,
there-
no one ever bothered to ask, like, okay, your planet's in jeopardy. And so, like, a 10-year-old was like, I know, I'll make a radio and call for help from space. Like, what?
Because she's dumb as fuck, Trev.
They don't have government? They have disappearing doors. You would think they had some form of NASA, or I don't know.
Somewhere out there. Benji, finish your
For the love
thought.
of fuck.
No,
There should be a carve out in the Prime Directive that says if it's the civilization is about to die, like their planet is gonna fucking explode, then just fucking expose yourself to them in the good Starfleet way, not the way you are all thinking. And just save them. It's fine. It's
does
fine.
that involve Riker's
worth it.
nipple?
Of course it does. Everything,
Just one of them.
everything involves
Just the
Riker's
one.
nipple.
His Angel 1.
Just Lefty.
Yeah, his Angel 1
Oh,
nipple.
Lefty.
I agree,
Let me
Benji.
introduce
That
you
would
to
be my
Olivia.
edit to the Prime Directive. My edit would just be about saving lives, because I don't like this nonsense of, well, we should just let nature take its course when we can intervene, because in 100 years we don't know. Maybe they're all a bunch of baby Hitlers, and it's that thought experiment.
And
I
I need-
think
I need
saving
both of you to
lives.
have. I need both of you to have a long conversation with the producers of Meerkat Manor, because every time one of those meerkats gets hurt and they just let it die, I have a nervous breakdown.
Mhm.
Interesting.
I'm gonna Google what that is.
I'm just.
We'll
gonna
talk
say-
about it.
I'm just going to give you a scene right now. Mother. That's Bambi. Very upsetting.
Okay.
We're
What?
gonna
I
bring
mean,
this.
I
What?
think the Prime Directive has that. The Prime
Four
Directive has that
seasons.
clause in it.
The Bambi
No, it doesn't.
clause?
No, the clause that you guys are talking about. Because
No, it doesn't.
Called the
They
Bambi
specific-
clause.
They specific
Oh,
the
the
Bambi.
Bambi
It's the
Okay,
Bambi clause.
Yeah.
but no, they
The ba- the
like
ba- it has the
the-
Bambi clause in it.
in TNG they
close.
specifically discuss whether or not they should save a planet they could easily save, because they don't have they have not risen to the level that they are allowed to get involved.
But they saved the planet in Paradise Syndrome with the meteor. They were there to save Sarpedon before it exploded. So, it just goes to show that the original series is much more mature.
It
No.
just
Ken,
goes
are
to
you
Listen,
suggesting?
you have an encyclopedic knowledge of the Tosser show that the
Yeah,
rest
Ken
of
was
us-
just saying some words, and all I heard was like this
Half the
buzzing
time
of
I
like.
don't
No,
understand
I'm serious.
the
In the
fucking
Paradise
thing you're
Syndrome,
referring to.
in the
I think
Paradise
Ken is
Syndrome, the
suggesting.
Enterprise
I think Ken's
intercepted-
suggesting that the original series contradicted itself, which is crazy because I would have never guessed.
The original series did contradict itself, but not in
The
these things
Star
it did.
Earth Fleet, or whatever they called themselves in the 15th episode, and then changed it to Starfleet 2 episodes
The
later.
Space Navy.
The
I don't
Prime
know
Trevor.
what
Directive can't be fixed
What?
because it's a performative directive. It's the thing that they say to give themselves cover when things get fucked up. As Benji is
Space
pointing out.
colonialism is where
is-
we will end this episode. Thank you, Krista. We got to wrap up
Okay.
on. We got to. So sorry, we got to wrap up on space colonialism. Manifesting destiny. Trevor, do you want to give us the tallies?
If it puts an end to this conversation, then yes, I would love to. No, I'm kidding. Yes, I would be happy to. And just real quick to recap the rules that we created. They were the additions to the Prime Directive. They were don't fuck it up, our lives in danger, and we need a Bambi clause. So those were the three things that we came up with. So writers of Star Trek, you're welcome. We're not charging you for those. There was only one problematic gay alert, which is kind of depressing. There were 3 problematic ally alerts. There were 4 tosser alerts. There was 1 Bev alert. There were 2 Kenwell actuallys. And new for this evening, only because it was both relevant and uncomfortable, there were 5 accidental fire references. Like, I've never heard fire mentioned so much in jokes and like little quips until we're all trying to avoid it, and that's just kind of adorably us.
We're all doing our best to avoid fire.
Bonus
And the Prime
points.
Directive, really. So
Exactly.
apropos.
Bonus points. 100 bonus points to Krista for abstaining from ghost candle sex. But also an additional 15 to Krista for the RuPaul callbacks. 6,000 bonus points to Joanne for preparing for inches but not for sandwiches. 1,812 bonus points to Benji for reminding our future alien overlords that Canada exists. 5 bonus points to Ken for trying to hide his actuallys by texting them to the group. An additional 10 bonus points to Ken for not having thoughts. There were 700 bonus points to Will for inventing Sarjenko wigs. Work, bitch.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And then this math is going to get complicated, so buckle up. I gave half a bonus point to Stan for frequently mentioning Maresta Yale. I took away half a point. I took away half a point for not having visuals. So that should leave you at your original rolling average of 0. However, I also had to take away 100 for that horrible Fievel impression.
Oh, my singing voice is not to your liking.
Not if you're going to be a Disney mouse.
Well, y'all, this is the end of the episode.
We're sorry.
Please like and subscribe. Look, on a quick serious note, this is a part of my week that I always look forward to. This is obviously a rough week for so many people. I am very lucky. I'm in a hotel. I'm safe and happy. My area is going to be fine, especially once the air quality gets better. That is not true for countless others. So please do keep LA in your thoughts. Be conscious of what you're posting about it. Ask yourself who benefits and is it helping anybody. We will put in the show notes different places that you can give to help with relief efforts for people and animals. So please give what you can. A couple of things we were planning to do today, just an FYI, I believe that Trek Talks is talking about what they're going to be doing. The event is scheduled for January 18th, but with the fires, there are some ongoing conversations about whether it will go on as scheduled, along with so many other places in LA figuring out what they're going to be doing the next couple of weeks. So please follow trektalks.org on social to keep updated with that. At this moment, I am still planning for our interview with Lori Ulster to premiere on Monday. If Trek Talks dates change, we'll be sure to note that in the show notes. But it was a lovely conversation that we had weeks ago, and we wanted to put it out the week of the Trek Talks event because we discuss it as for promotion, and then Nature had some other ideas. So rant over, except to say thank you all for joining us. I needed this. So many people have it much worse than I did, but this has been a very stressful and scary week. And so I just appreciate you all for being with me and being with each other. So keep LA in your thoughts. And
And
he's stuck.
so let's
keep LA in your thoughts.
Let's guess what he meant to say.
Yeah, Palm Springs says, fuck his drag.
Wipe.
Well, Trevor, wrap us up.
It's a great place to be frozen. Well, the unfortunate part is I can't wrap us up because I can't.
Oh hell no!
We're going all night, baby.
We're all trapped here. We're now
We're all in the Matrix.
Oh God, we're all stuck here.
We can't.
Wait, you can't hear me either?
Yeah,
I can hear you. We can hear you.
We hear you.
Oh, I thought you said wait, am I frozen?
No.
Oh, he's
there
going.
we go.
Bye. Bye, Stanley.
Oh, am I the boss now?
But he can't turn the stream off.
We can't turn the stream off. We're here forever.
Oh God.
What if we cross the stream?
I want to talk about something that's really important.
There you go.
I have a lovely timeshare in the Turks and Caicos that I would love to extend to everyone here. I'm kidding. No, I don't. trying to do like a sales pitch.
Who has a weird like gross talent that they want to show? Can somebody like turn their
Oh,
eyelids
I
and
can't
get
I
out,
can't
or-
do that.
Oh,
I can't
not
do
on
that.
not on a live stream.
Not on the YouTube.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
That's a
Oh,
backstage.
mute
My-
that.
Maybe in the after show, and if you subscribe on Patreon, you might be able to join us in the after show to watch Trevor's Weird Talent.
No.
My 24 hours of free Wi-Fi just ended.
Beautiful timing.
Perfect
Yeah.
timing. Yeah.
Marriott said, "Wrap it up."
That's another great drag name.
Yeah.
Cunts.
Mary Yacht.
Yeah, Mary.
Oh.
I thought you meant wrap it up.
All right, y'all. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Live long.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.